So, if you're thinking, I love my partner, I just never feel like starting anything, then that is a very normal midlife hormone story. It is not a moral failing, and it does not mean that there's something broken in you. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Sex After Kids podcast and our work in progress studio. I am so excited to have you here. Today, we are talking about perimenopause and how it affects sex, right? If we're in our 40s, 50s, and beyond, sex can start to feel complicated. Maybe penetration suddenly hurts, lubrication is hit or miss, or your desire is basically in witness protection. It all just feels like work. Then, if that's where you're at, welcome to the changing body and sex. I would also caveat here that if you've had a concussion, if you, like me, have an autoimmune disorder, you can experience a lot of these sort of similar changes maybe earlier in life. And the bottom line is that it is very easy to feel broken here, almost let down by your body, especially if sex used to be an easy and fun thing for you. It's like something you could do easily on autopilot has now become complicated and confusing, and like it takes a lot of effort, which equals no fun in your brain. And if your partner is the one going through this life change, stick around as well, because understanding more about what they are going through and what is happening there to their body can help you to show up differently, to adjust how you ask and what you offer so that you can both continue to have naked fun that feels great and pressure-free for both of you. So perimenopause and menopause are massive whole body, whole identity, whole human shifts. Nervous system, hormone, brain, mood, sleep, these are all in the mix. And if no one ever gave you a proper map of what's going on, of course, you are going to feel like your body is betraying you. What we're going to do in this episode is talk through some of the most common changes and walk you through what's actually changing in your body at a high level. This is just a 17-minute episode, 20-minute episode, but understand so that you can kind of connect the dots between what you're feeling in your body and what's happening to you during intimacy and what's happening with your hormones overall. Gotta love how my lighting's fluctuating there. In this episode, we're going to talk about what is changing in your body, why it is changing, help you to connect the dots between what's happening in your body and what's happening in your bedroom, and let you know what to do, either as the person whose body is changing or the person who is supporting. If you are new here and this kind of real talk about sex, perimenopause, and relationships is helpful, go ahead and follow the podcast, subscribe on YouTube so that you do not miss the next episode, and let me know down below in the comments, whether you are on YouTube or on a podcast, what other topics you'd like me to cover, what other questions you have got. It really helps this conversation reach more people who are quietly wondering if they are the only one. All right. Let's start with what's actually happening in your body. Hello, hormones. Hello, estrogen. Hello, progesterone. Hello, testosterone. They are all shifting and fluctuating, and especially during perimenopause, they are going wild and trying to figure out their main equilibrium. So these are three main hormones that I want you to think about when it comes to like sex and your sexuality and perimenopause and menopause, right? Estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So you want to think of estrogen as like your moisture and elasticity fairy. It helps to keep vaginal tissue plump, stretchy, and well lubricated. In perimenopause, estrogen starts to fluctuate wildly and then eventually drops. And what that can typically mean is more dryness, more friction, sometimes pain with penetration, and sometimes more urinary tract infections or gynecological visits. Your body needs more warm-up time than it used to and a slightly different approach. You might also be dealing with spotting and irregular periods, so heavy one month, light the next, or never really sure when you're gonna like see some stuff in your pants. And that unpredictability can make you feel very disconnected from your body, like it's not behaving or like it's not very trustworthy anymore. Like it's hard to plan for a fun time on Saturday night if you're not sure what's going to be going on downstairs. Progesterone is like your nervous system's weighted blanket. And when it drops, among other things, sleep can go off a cliff. So that means more night wakings, more insomnia, more restless nights. And we know, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, we know that sleep and desire have a very big connection. If you're not sleeping, then your desire is the first thing to leave the building. If your body is just trying to survive the day, then it's not thinking, ooh, sexy time. And progesterone and estrogen also have a lot to do with mood. Testosterone is not just a male hormone, right? It also plays a role in desire and energy and that little spark of wanting. Levels tend to decline with age, which can mean that you don't spontaneously feel horny the way you used to in your 20s. And if you're a guy watching this and your desire for sex has changed, then testosterone can be a huge part of that. So if you're thinking, I love my partner, I just never feel like starting anything, then that is a very normal midlife hormone story. It is not a moral failing, and it does not mean that there's something broken in you. Right out of the gate, hormonally, your body is like, we need more time, we need more support, and we need more intention for this to feel good. It is not saying give up on sex forever. It is saying I need new skills and a better, more refined, more mature approach. Regular sexual activity, solo or not, is actually extremely helpful in this phase of life. And we will talk about that more in a moment. Okay, so I just want you to think that all of these things don't mean a big old red stop sign for sex. They just mean a yellow stop sign and a different approach. So what about the nervous system and the mental load at midlife, right? Because hormones are only part of the story and they're part of what makes this second piece even harder, right? Because we've got nervous system changes and we've just got like the mental load and the stress of what's happening in our society right now. Midlife is a lot. Aging parents that need a lot from you, teenagers or young adults who also need a lot from you, career pressure potentially, or pressure to get that retirement fund going, money, and then relationship stuff, and potentially also chronic pain, health anxiety, or like new things to worry about, right? So your nervous system can be running on high alert most of the time because it's got every reason in the world to be running on high alert most of the time. And that is where the stress and anxiety feedback loop shows up in sex in particular, but everywhere. So I suffer from chronic pain, and I've been learning how background stress in your life, when it's high, it puts your body on edge. And when your body's on edge and you feel disconnected from your body and you worry that sex is going to hurt or not feel great, or you're not going to get wet, or it's not gonna, then your body is already bracing for a shitty time. Your shields are up. Guess what? Then you can't relax. Then you're stuck in your head. Then you create the very thing that you are hoping to avoid. So there's a loop here where the higher the stress in our background, the quicker our body goes to the no. And then you add the hormonal shifts where we have less capacity to manage all of this stress that's happening. And it's just like a double fire, right? When your brain is in threat detection mode, it's hard for it to be in pleasure mode. So the more worried you are that sex will hurt or be awkward or disappointing, the more your body tightens, the more lubrication shuts down, the less blood flows going to that part of your body. And then we end up in the downward spiral. Now, this is another piece though, where it's like people get stuck on, well, if I can't be stressed and in pleasure at the same time, I guess I can't be in pleasure right now because I'm in stress. But the opposite is also true. If you are in pleasure, then you can't be in stress. And this is part of, or one of the reasons why sex is medicine for your body, and finding a way to embrace sexual pleasure without forcing yourself can have a lot of benefits. Okay. So that loop, that negative feedback loop, I call it, is so brutal. And it's so common because it gets us stuck in this self-fulfilling prophecy. So again, you are not crazy. You are not broken. Your body is doing exactly what bodies do under stress. The point is that that's a subconscious lizard brain programming, and that you get to intentionally and consciously override that if you want to. So let's tie this all together with what you might be actually feeling in your sex life with all these hormone shifts, irregular periods and spotting, sleep issues, plus that stress pain loop, not to mention identity shifts like erotic me, who the hell is she and where did she go? It makes total sense then that sex feels like work instead of something you look forward to. It makes sense then that your desire has tanked, even though you still love your partner, but you would be happy if they never initiated again. And it makes sense that you feel kind of at war with your body It used to be reliable, and now it feels like it's sabotaging you. It would be expected that you find yourself avoiding sex because of pain, dryness, or just dread about how it's going to go and not knowing what's going to show up today. And when we layer in all the pieces that contribute to that, we end up with a big old hot mess that we just don't want to deal with. And if you're, a penis owning partner today or a partner who's not going through this, like I hope this helps you to understand and to break apart that formula that my partner's not having sex with me, therefore they don't love me. It's not true most of the time. Okay, so like I was talking about earlier, this can sound really confusing because on one hand, there are a million reasons that your body doesn't want sex right now and a million signals that your body is sending that says no thank you. On the other hand, we have more and more evidence that sexual activity and orgasms in particular can actually really support your health and quality of life, in particular as you age and in particular in this stage of life. So let's unpack that first for a minute. Because first, when I say sex, I don't just mean penetration. I'm talking about touch, pleasure, connection, intimacy, solo play, partnered play. I'm talking about the whole spectrum here. There was a 2024 paper published in the Journal of Sexologies that looked at older adults, and it's so funny for me to be like, ooh, am I an older adult? Sexual activity, including solo sex, and how it related to health and quality of life. And what they found was basically people who were sexually active in some way, even just masturbation, tended to report better physical and mental health, a better sense of well-being and quality of life. And in some situations, even engaging in sexual activity actually seemed to support their overall health status. So this isn't just sex is good for you as a catchy idea. I mean, I'm a tantra teacher, and like 2,000 years lineages would tell you that sex is like literally taking a medicinal pill. We are seeing real correlations in science now between sexual activity and health outcomes in older adults. And we also know from other research and clinical experience that orgasms can help with stress reduction by releasing oxytocin and endorphins. For some people, they also support better sleep, and they improve blood flow to the pelvic region, which can help with reducing that pelvic pain with the dryness and just help maintaining the tissue down there and all that fun stuff. Regular sexual activity, again, including solo, can also support a sense of identity, vitality, and aliveness. Who does not want these things, my friends? So yes, in many ways, sex and orgasm can act like medicine for your body and your brain in midlife. But for me, here's the key. Medicine only works if you can take it in a way that feels safe and consensual. If you are forcing yourself, if you are overriding your pain, if you are dissociating just to get it over with because someone said that sex is healthy and good for you, you are not going to be getting the benefits, okay? Lying there, starfishing and saying like, just get it over with is not the kind of sex that's going to bring you that benefit. That's not medicine. It's actually self-betrayal, and your nervous system will absolutely register that, and it will make the negative feedback loop we talked about earlier worse. Okay, so let's name this core tension out loud. There are a million reasons your body does not want sex right now. But also, Sophia, you just told me that sex is good for me. So how do I have sex of all the kinds without forcing myself? This is the question. Or how do I invite my partner into sex without dragging them there? Okay. You get that orgasms help with stress, mood, and even pelvic health. You get that intimacy and connection matter for your relationship. Maybe your partner wants more sex than you do, and you're carrying that pressure and that guilt of not like meeting that need. But also, your desire is low and you're scared it's going to hurt and you're exhausted and you've had enough of giving to everybody all the time, and you've had enough experiences of sex feeling like work or disappointment that your body has basically learned this is not for us. Sex is not safe, fun, or relaxing. So why the fuck should I bother, essentially? So I want you to hear this clearly. You do not have to force yourself. Consent with yourself, you is foundational, especially in midlife when we're in our zero fucks to give mode. Okay, I'm spicy today. The work is not, how do I push through my no because sex is medicine? The work is, How do I expand what sex is allowed to look like? And how do I create safety and support so that my body or my partner's body can genuinely say yes, sometimes or more of the time, and get those benefits without betrayal? And that's what I want to walk you through in the rest of this episode. Okay, some really practical ways to do that. And once again, if you're a partner, these tips apply just as much to you. This is about the attitude and the environment that you both create for sex in your relationship, more so than it is about fixing one person over the other, right? Hormone panels are a part of this for sure, but they are not the whole story. First, we are going to redefine what counts as sex, my friends, because most of you go sex means penetration means orgasm. And that is not really everything that includes sex, okay? So our first step is to broaden the definition. That means to start thinking of sex very plainly. The way I view it is sex is naked play together with a consenting partner. Outer course, hands, mouths, toys, grinding, mutual masturbation, super fun, skin to skin contact. All of that might mean stepping out of your comfort zone to try something you always thought of as a no, which could actually be a new doorway to yes for you. Shorter sessions, right? Where we're just getting naked and playing and seeing what happens. Getting off of the idea that we need to complete the official script, getting off the idea that sex is about a penis going in a vagina, and getting into the idea that sex is about pleasure and vulnerability and play. When sex is a wider menu, you can often genuinely say yes to something that feels good. Even if it's just a makeout or a back rub, you're still going to get the benefits of that instead of forcing yourself into one version of sex that your body is currently dreading. Okay. Number two, start from neutral, not on fire. So another really important shift for midlife, you probably have more responsive desire now and less spontaneous, random, rip your clothes off desire. Maybe you never had that kind of desire. That's okay. But instead of waiting to feel insanely turned on before anything happens, the invitation is to start from neutral. This is my maybe zone, if you've heard me talk about this before. So it's not I'm wildly horny and I want to rip your clothes off. And it's not fuck off, don't touch me. It's I could be into some connection tonight. I could be into a cuddle. I could be into watching a show. I could be into trading back massages. And also, it's like creating this pressure free space to be able to say yes. I call it like this breadcrumb trail of yes. What's the smallest thing I can say yes to? And that yes might lead to a bigger yes, might lead to a bigger yes, might lead to a bigger yes. And I get to say no at any point. When we get stuck in it's all or nothing, we never get the benefit of any of this other rainbow here. When we allow ourselves to say yes to the small things, we get out the oxytocin, we get the dopamine, we get the connection, we get the yummy stuff all the way up. And this one strategy alone is what got me from a 6-month or more dry spell after baby number 2 to us having sex 3 times last week and me not even knowing how that happened. Because I'm rarely, oh my God, I need to rip your clothes off horny anymore. But I can still have great orgasms and a great time. Number 3 is to think about transition. So in my Naked Fun model, I talk a lot about the transition, the phase after you initiate, but before you have started playing. Because going from replying to emails to hot and heavy in 5 minutes for most peri or menopausal baddies is just a fucking hard no. The transition phase is the bridge between doing life and being sexual, right? It's being able to walk across that bridge. And it might look like a solo shower first, where you breathe and rinse off the day and put on some essential oils that make you feel good. Maybe it's 10 minutes of cuddling or talking fully clothed with no pressure to escalate. Or maybe it's a little ritual of phones away, lights dimmed, music on, all these things that sort of signal we are shifting gears now. If you always skip this, it will always feel like you're forcing yourself. And right now, you just might need more of what I call pre-foreplay than you did before. When you build this in, you're giving your nervous system time to feel safe enough for sex to actually feel like medicine instead of another stressor. If you want to understand more about the Naked Fun Time cycle and where you are getting stuck and how to get out of it and implement my pressure-free protocol even when you are in survival mode, then I want you to check out this 30-minute masterclass that I did. I will link the link in the show notes. Number 4, we want to talk way more and make consent ongoing. So communication is the key, in my view, to nervous system safety. To have sex that's good for you, you need ongoing real-time consent or permission, right? With yourself and with your partner. And the first step of that is actually like better dialogue with your own body, because a lot of us have been in a history of overriding, and that's actually why we're shutting down sex right now. So this could sound like, I want closeness, but I'm not sure what my body can handle tonight. Can we start slow and check in as we go? Or it could look like, I'm open to touch above the waist, but I don't know about penetration. Can we see how it feels? And I'll tell you if I want more. Or maybe if I say pause, can we just stop and cuddle for a bit without anyone feeling rejected? Talk like this doesn't kill the mood. It's actually what creates the safety that your body needs in order to relax into the pleasure that's happening. And you'll notice here this huge theme of just taking the pressure off. It turns sex from something you endure into something that you are actively co-creating with your partner. Number 5 is to use pleasure like micro-dosed medicine. So we talked about this a little bit before, but if having sex feels huge and overwhelming, zoom way in and think of pleasure as this microdose. So 5 minutes of solo touch that is just about curiosity, about what things feel like when you touch them, not about orgasm. That can be medicine. Letting your partner give you a back rub while you actually pay attention to the feeling of the back rub instead of worrying about how you're going to tell them no after they ask. Or one song's worth of slow dancing in the kitchen and just noticing your breath and your bodies together. These tiny experiences still count, and they still give your nervous system some of the benefits of touch, of connection, of oxytocin, of dopamine, of serotonin, of all the good stuff. And over time, those microdoses make it easier for your body to say yes to more when it genuinely wants to without feeling like it's being forced. If you want a tool you can use for checking in to your body so that you can initiate yourself, or so you can initiate your lower libido partner better into this maybe zone that we talked about earlier, then I'll also invite you to check out my free Touch Again Tonight framework, which I will also link in the show notes. It's a PDF that's going to walk you through step by step through that process. The last piece here, of course, is to get medical and practical support so that you are not fighting your body or not fighting it as hard as you maybe need to, right? It's the very unsexy part, but it's essential, it's practical, but it's still not the whole picture, okay? You're not just gonna fix your hormone labs and fix that and like magically everything is gonna be better, okay? We're gonna use lube now. We're gonna use a lot of it. We're gonna reapply. This is not cheating. This is physics and anatomy changing. We're gonna talk to our doctors about local estrogen creams or other options if you're dealing with dryness and pain and recurrent urinary tract infections. You are gonna double down on getting more sleep, on eating better, and on managing your mood and chronic pain, because if your system is in constant survival mode, then sex is going to feel impossible. And when you address what's happening physically and emotionally, when you expand the scripts around what is defined as sex, that's when sex and orgasm can actually start acting like medicine for you without you overriding your own no. Okay, so now that we understand what's happening with our partner's bodies, now that we see how sex and orgasm can actually support your health, and you want to create a version of your sex life that feels safe and adaptable and good for your new body, then let me know in the comments which tip you are going to try this week or this month. And let me know how it goes. I'm always around in the Instagram DMs if you want to talk about it more. And if you are like, these tips are great, but how, Sophia, how do I actually implement this magic? Then I have got you covered. That's why I created Color Me Curious, the playful pleasure mapping experience. It's a 90-minute workshop, and in it, we're going to cover 3 of my favorite vibe setters to help you transition from busy life mode to landed lover mode. So you don't have to invent how to do that. You can steal my exact tools. I'm going to give you a better understanding of both of your genital anatomy and a framework for finding out what feels good now instead of pressing the same old buttons and expecting them to do good things. And lastly, we're going to share my 5-part framework for sexual communication to help you speak up in the bedroom with confidence. So if you want to actually see what's going on, get the education you never had, and have a roadmap for pleasure that fits this stage of your life, then I invite you to grab the Color Me Curious Playful Pleasure Map experience. You can watch it solo, you can use it as a super fun, silly, connecting date night with your partner. And it's going to give you all the tools you need to then have a date night in the bedroom. It's going to help you accomplish everything that we've talked about in this episode. The workshop is $27. I will link it in the show notes below. I would love to see you in there and to support you with your next step. Remember to hit follow on the podcast or subscribe if you're on YouTube, and we will catch you next week.